Think about it. 30 years ago, Tinubu and his boys were part of the oppressed in Nigeria. Way back in 1993, we were oppressed by the likes of General Sani Abacha. In fact, he had to go into exile in 1993, running away from the oppression of General Sani Abacha. At least that's what he claims. Now, fast forward 30 years after, Tinubu and his boys are now part of the oppressor. 30 years after. How did he do it? Yes, many might be quick to say, oh, he used drug money. Or he did this, he did that. But we need to understand exactly how did Tinubu go from oppressed to oppressor in a space of 30 years without a war, without a violent revolution. Cunningly and silently, he went from being the oppressed in 1993 to becoming the oppressor in 2023 in a space of 30 years. How did he do it? How did he do it? And don't tell me it is rigging. Something made rigging possible. As much as we claim that the election was rigged, and of course it was rigged, we should also understand that there are real Nigerians that voted for Tinubu and voted for the APC. Real Nigerians. They are not spirits. I have them in my estates. Educated people. Not to talk of the illiterate and uneducated people. There are people that were convinced along religious lines, along ethnic lines, to vote for Tinubu. And that helped in this process of transformation from being the oppressed about 30 years ago to becoming the oppressor 30 years after in 2023. Now, we should understand this, that actively people have engaged to support him. How did he get this support that made it possible for him to transform from being the oppressed to the oppressor? We need to understand this if we need to fix Nigeria, because there is a vicious cycle. A cycle of you have an oppressed, he gets power, he becomes the oppressor. And then the next oppressed comes along, he gets power, he becomes the oppressor. We need to understand how they do this transformation if Nigeria is to be fixed. It is not the constitution that will fix Nigeria. The Electoral Act should prove this to you already. It is not, oh, we are fighting against, let's break up. That will not fix Nigeria. It will not fix the different regions. It is not a lot of the things that we look at. We need to understand how is it that somebody like Tinubu is able to go from being the oppressed to becoming the oppressor. If we don't understand this, then I'm sorry, no matter what happens, the next set of leaders will go from being oppressed also to becoming the oppressor, and Nigerians will be the worse off for it. So how did he get from being the oppressed to becoming the oppressor? Critical question. To answer this, we need to understand something first, and that is the Abraham Maslow's theory of hierarchy of needs. Maslow's theory of hierarchy of needs. We need to understand it. Now, this Maslow's theory of hierarchy of needs categorizes all of human needs into 5 different stages, from the lowest to the highest. Now, the lowest is actually the food, shelter, and clothing problems of human beings. Next to it is the health and safety, security needs of human beings. Then next to it is the relationship or association needs of human beings. Then level 4 is the self-esteem, the self-respect needs of human beings. Then at the topmost part of the 5 stage of the Abraham Maslow's theory of hierarchy of needs is the self-actualization needs of human beings. Now, if we understand these 5 levels of the Abraham Maslow's theory of hierarchy of needs, then we will understand how it is that somebody like Tinubu is able to use religion, is able to use ethnicity, right? Is able to use weaponized hunger, weaponized health, to turn himself from being an oppressed just 30 years ago to becoming the oppressor 30 years after. How did this happen? Now, Tinubu went about doing one thing: solving the food problem for a large number of Nigerians and solving the self-esteem problems for his boys. Majority of the people in the world, majority of Nigerians actually only get to be able to solve the first 2 levels of problems: food, shelter, clothing, health, security, and safety. Those are what the majority of people are able to solve. Then if you add on top of that relationship, tribe, religion, they manage to solve that. Not necessarily the correct way, but because there is that fundamental need for human beings to want to belong to a tribe, to want to belong to a religion, to want to belong to an association. It's a need. You wonder why, despite the many criticisms of Christianity, people will still go to church. Criticize the pastors all you want, people will still go to church. Criticize the mosque and Islam all you want, people will still go to mosque. Criticize some cults all you want, people will still join cults. Criticize Yahoo boys all you want, people will still want to join Yahoo boys. Criticize a particular tribe, they will still want to show that they belong to that tribe. It is because human beings have that need to belong. They want to belong. They want to believe something. So they believe what you throw at them. They want it. It's a need. And this need is what Tinubu solved for them. Now there's a problem with this. Is it bad that Tinubu solved this food problem for the majority of people, or solved the health problem for the majority of people? Not necessarily solve, not a permanent solution. His approach to solving these needs for people was the approach of give them fish. Meanwhile, what we need is the approach of teach them to fish. And in order to get the people to teach them to fish, you need to temporarily solve the problem of fish, problem of food for them to eat. Now, the problem with having individuals like Tinubu solve this food problem is that these people become loyal to the person who feeds them. Think about it. There is nobody who works in Tinubu's companies and gets his problem solved that will go against Tinubu. I have a company that I run. If I decide to run for president like I wanted to, my staff would definitely, at least not openly, speak against me, because I solve a food, a shelter problem for them. That's the problem of having individuals solve these food problems for Nigerians. We've heard the stories of people like the Adedibus of this world that kill cows every day and they provide food for people in Oyo. The story of the Sarakis in Kwara, the same thing. Even in the north, you have certain rich people who have found a way to usurp the resources of the people to their own selfish interest. You see them setting up a system of feeding the poor with masa and akamu every morning. People go to their homes and they can eat masa and akamu every morning. And of course, they become loyal to those people because those individuals become their solution for their food problem. This is exactly why people like Tinubu are able to transform from being the oppressed to becoming the oppressor, because they found a way to solve the food problem for people. He solved other problems. As he's solving the food problem for people, he's solving the self-esteem and the self-actualization problem for his boys. And when you solve these problems when he solves these problems for his boys, they become loyal to him. That's why you have the likes of them Aregbesola, you have the likes of them Kayode Fayemi, the likes of them even Ganduje, and all the people. He encourages them. Oh, self-actualization. Go and run for office and he will support you. Now we understand where he got the money to support them from, because of the conviction in the US drugs related case. But he solved that problem for these people and they became loyal to him. And these people, rather than become loyal to Nigeria, they became loyal to individuals. Now, if we are going to solve the problems of Nigeria, we must understand what people like Tinubu understood, solving the food problem for people. Every week, anytime that Tinubu is around, you see that his house in Bodilo, it's like a marketplace. People go there to visit. What do they go there for? To collect food, to collect support. We cannot continue like this and expect the problems of Nigeria to change. We have to understand that the solution to the food problems of Nigerians cannot come from individuals. If it does, Nigerians will become loyal to that individual, and it won't matter what that individual does, they'll be loyal to him anyway. Because how do you explain that it is public knowledge that somebody like Tinubu has been convicted of a drugs-related money laundering case in the US, and with all that came out on this Guinean passport and Guinean citizenship thing, and there are still people who still support him? Why? Because they see him as the solution to their food problem, their security problem, their relationship problem, their self-esteem problem, and self-actualization problem. If Nigeria is going to change, we must institutionalize the solution to the food problems, in fact, to all the problems of Nigerians. And how do you do that? It must become a law that every Nigerian who is unemployed, who is extremely poor, must be provided food free of charge, compulsorily, by law. Don't we even say that a father who is not able to provide for his own house should not call himself a father? He should not even call himself a Christian. It's worse than an infidel. That is for a father. So a president or a governor or a minister or a House of Rep member that cannot provide food for his people should step down. We need to institutionalize this solution to the food problems of Nigerians. If we need Nigerians to become loyal to Nigeria rather than become loyal to individuals, because this is the system that converts oppressed to oppressor. When you have individuals solving the food problems for people rather than institutions, rather than the country. We need to solve this food problem. And that is why we have proposed that there should be a free food and social welfare law for Nigeria. Free food. That's how to institutionalize the solution of food problems, solution to food problems for Nigerians. Why do you think the Americans have social security, social welfare? Why do you think they have it in the UK? Because that way, the person who the citizens see as solving their food problem is the institution, is the government, is the country. So they are more loyal to the government than to individuals. So long as individuals like Tinubu, like Adedibu, like Saraki, and the rich people in the north, so long as you have those individuals solving the food problem for individuals, for citizens of Nigeria, we will continue to have a situation whereby they weaponize poverty to subvert the will of the people. So we need to institutionalize. We are proposing this law, and it is a law that will unite us. It's a law that will unite us, because every other solution that has been proposed so far have a tendency of dividing us. You propose that the solution to Nigeria's problem is a Peter Obi. Already the Muslims have a reason to suspect. You propose that the solution to somebody the solution to the problem of Nigeria is solely from the south, already the people from the north have a reason to suspect. But when we propose this law and say every poor person, every unemployed person, every extremely poor person who is unable to provide food for himself, particularly the aged people, people that are elderly, and the children, if you are able to solve the food problems for them and say, oh, if you are hungry and you don't have money in your pocket, if you are hungry and you don't have food in your house, go to so and so place, you will be given food. Or go to so and so place, you will submit your account number to so place, we will send money into that account, and that money you can spend it in so and so place, and you get food. Until it becomes a law that the food problem of Nigerians is solved by institutions, by the government, we will continue to have the problems that we have. So please, we need your support. Nobody can do it alone. If anybody tells you that one individual can solve the problem of Nigeria, it's not true. I am not saying that I can solve the problem, I can push this. No. I have come to a realization. We don't all need to be president to solve the problem of Nigeria. I don't need to run for president to become a solution to Nigeria. I think that if people like you and people like me can come together in our numbers, we can push these kind of solutions through the National Assembly and it will become law. We can push it through. Imagine that we have 100,000 signatures, 1 million signatures supporting this free food stamp and social welfare law. Imagine it. And the National Assembly knows this. They are looking for votes. They are looking for numbers. When they see that it is bipartisan support, whether it is Muslims, whether it is Christians, whether it is Northerners, whether it is Southerners, whether it is wherever the people are from, the places where the fault lines that they used to divide Nigerians, when they see that a solution unites everybody, then they will be forced to do the right thing. You cannot afford to just leave this video without supporting the free food stamp law. We are going to build the law from the ground up ourselves. We'll build the solution ourselves in such a way that it will help Nigeria. Don't compare this free food stamp and social welfare law with what you know about how the food stamp operates in America or how the food stamp operates in the United Kingdom. Don't do that. We are going to tailor-make this law to solve the Nigeria's problem, the problem of the Nigerian citizen. We're going to tailor-make it to solve that problem so that it can become a law. It won't matter whether a president is good or bad. Food must be on the table for all Nigerians. It doesn't matter whether a governor is good or bad, whether he is kind or not kind. Food must be provided. Else, there will be consequences. We need to make it a law, and we need your help to make it happen. This is what we should pursue. This is the mistake we have always made, thinking that one individual can come and solve the problem when it is we, the people, that will actually solve the problem. And we'll solve the problem by creating laws like this one. That's how the Americans do it. That's how the Europeans do it. That's how the UK, the British, that's how they do it. They create laws that solve problems for the people. And it must be a law. We cannot continue to leave the solution to the food problem of Nigerians to individuals. That's how, look at it. Tinubu got his votes from the poorest states, from the poorest people in Nigeria. How do you think he did that? He did that by providing food to them. While we were saying we're not giving shishi, we were not giving rice, we're not bribing, he was using these same things, giving free cash, giving rice, giving indomie, giving all those things to the extremely poor people who don't understand better. And that way he was able to get them to support him. Look at it, just do an analysis. Somebody says, oh, Peter Obi is made a mistake of appealing to Christians. Okay, if Peter Obi made a mistake of appealing to Christians, what mistake did Tinubu make? He appealed to Muslims because he got his votes from the Muslim states. And not just any Muslim states, from the poorest Muslim states. The poorest. And how was that made possible? By solving the food problem. However temporary that solution is, the people who are hungry will not think straight and they weaponized this and took advantage of it. So if we are going to have a people that are loyal to Nigeria much more than to individual corrupt politicians, we need to institutionalize this solution to their food problem. Make it a law. Let them know that food is guaranteed by law, and whoever, whether governor or president or any elected official that does not provide or make this happen, should step down. Once they know this, they will switch their loyalty from such individuals to Nigeria, and then the path of growth and change can truly begin to happen. Unless we do that, we're going nowhere. So please, a link is in the description. Click it, join it. We need at least starting from 10,000. Once we have that 10,000, we'll divide ourselves into groups and we'll begin to break down and draw up this law. Once we are done with it, we'll take it to the National Assembly. We have Labour Party lawmakers now, even other lawmakers will take it and push it through these lawmakers. They must pass it and make it a law. They will. Like we put pressure on them to pass the Electoral Act, we can put pressure on them to act this one, and it will be much easier because it unites everybody. There's poor Muslim, there's poor Christian, there's poor Yoruba, poor Igbo, poor Hausa, poor everybody. And so this will unite the real oppressed Nigerians against the oppressors. Support this. I beg you. Let us do this. The more numbers we have, the merrier. And this won't cost you anything. It's just for you to click the link and then you have supported. Click the link, fill out the form. This, and if you can, bring your suggestions on how we can make the law better and well suited for Nigeria. But it has to become a law. If not, Nigeria is going nowhere. What are you going to do?